Don't forget to check out and grab your copy of our two newly released books, Football, a Love Story, and What Did Football Teach Me? These books feature over 100 stories from current and former coaches, players, executives, and entertainers from across the football landscape, describing what got them involved in the game, what they love about it, and what life lessons the game taught them. You can find your copy or order your copy from our website at footballgameplan.com/books. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, here with our football game plan analyst, Teron Davenport, and we're at the 2015 Heisman Trophy ceremonies. This is the press conferences on Friday, and we're going to play a little game called Make a Case for each Heisman candidate. We're going to try to sell these guys to the voters, which probably have already been decided, but we're just going to sell these guys to those voters and make a case for each and every one that's in this race, this event. So starting with Derrick Henry out of Alabama, I mean, what more can you say? Over 1,900 yards. He's probably going to cross over 2,000 this year, which will put him number one all time. He's already had the single season rushing record at Alabama. We know how many great backs they've had there. I can go on and on with the great backs, but I mean, he's done a solid job this year, tremendous job, and I think he's definitely worthy of getting the award.
By all means, Derrick Henry is definitely worthy of the award. You look, as you mentioned, 1,900 yards rushing, 2,000 yards all-purpose line of scrimmage. I mean, he's not an all-purpose back, but when it comes to being a power running back that could also break away. I mean, he's a guy, you look at the LSU game, that's when it started. You look last week against Florida, the game that he had. By all means, he's the best running back in the country. And a lot of people look at him as just a power back, but you look at the way that he's able to change lanes and accelerate away from defenses. He's a big play guy. When it comes to Heisman Trophy candidates, I look at guys who can make plays, guys who are explosive, guys who can score from anywhere on the field, and that's what you get in Derrick Henry.
And you look at, let's say he gets 250 yards in this next bowl game, not counting if they win the game and move on, he gets 2 games. If he gets about 250 yards, he may end up as the all-time leading rusher, period, in Alabama history. 23 touchdowns. And think about this. Teams know he's getting the football. Can you name a Bama wide receiver?
Well, I mean, Calvin Ridley, a lot of people could probably do that after last week, but You're 100% right. They definitely game plan to stop this guy. He is the focus of the defense week in and week out, but he still produces, and that says it all.
And he leads the nation in rushing, and you can't say that enough. You know, especially being a former runner, to lead the nation in rushing is 120 plus D1 schools, and he's the top of that list. I mean, that's impressive.
Right, and doing it at the level that he's doing it. We have to mention that you look at the defenses that he's had to face, at Alabama in the SEC. I mean, it's a Power 5 conference, as you refer to him. And, hey, what he does week in and week out, it really speaks for itself. And I think this guy finally getting the opportunity to be the focal back, not sharing time with T.J. Yeldon, and he's just gotten better and better. And you see the result this year, like you mentioned, 2,000 yards rushing. It will be at least the minimum that he gets this season.
And let's move to another running back. This time we go far out west, Palo Alto, California, at Stanford, Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this guy has jumped on the scene this year. And when you look at the all-purpose leader in college football, that's worthy of being here in New York just off the strength. But how he's done it is very impressive.
What I really like about Christian McCaffrey is just the way that he can make plays in the open field. He's a guy that you could screen to, and he'll catch that screen, and he'll take it the distance, make one move, make a guy miss, and next thing you know, he's off and running. 2,300 plus yards from scrimmage. Any guy that breaks a record by in my opinion, greatest running back of all time, Barry Sanders. Anybody that could break that record, he has to be here, and he's somebody that you have to look at as a candidate. And I think that he should be a favorite to win this award.
I mean, think about it. He's not a splash player. People think, okay, well, he's just a splash guy. Let's say like Reggie Bush was a splash guy. I mean, he grinded out 240 yards against UCLA, and we know how tough that front seven is at UCLA, and he was able to get the job done. And again, 8 rushing touchdowns, 1 touchdown on a kickoff return, 4 receiving touchdowns. He's scoring in a multitude of ways. He's a tremendous athlete and a player. I mean, he was a track runner in high school. I mean, he ran a 10.7 in 100 meters, so he's not slow either.
Right. You can't use the deceptively slow
Right.
stigma when you look at him. I mean, you see it on the field, and as you mentioned, he has a track background, has the bloodlines. His father, Ed McCaffrey, a really good receiver. So you definitely have to look at what he brings to the table from an all-purpose side of things. He is somebody that you could single-handedly use to create matchups and win the football game, and that's something that David Shaw has done. I really like the way that they've used him in multiple roles, and what more can you say about it?
And let's not undersell his ability to run the football. 1,800 yards rushing,
Right.
second in the nation. That's the biggest quietly right now, because you talk about Derrick Henry, you talk about Leonard Fournette, you talk about all these other great backs in college football, but number 2 right now in the nation is Christian McCaffrey.
Right, and then when you look at it, you mentioned the UCLA front. I mean, the Pac-12 is very good from a defensive standpoint. So he's going in and week out, again, like Henry being the focal point of the defense, but yet he's producing. And I'm sure that defensive coordinators cannot sleep the week before they go against a guy like this, because, like you said, he could make plays from the backfield. He's an outstanding running back. And as you mentioned, he does not get the credit for that. Folks, 1,800-plus yards rushing. He is a very legitimate running back, but he adds that other dimension of being able to win in the receiving game as well.
Now we move to the quarterback position. It's funny that, now we only have one quarterback here. Right. Normally we have 3 or 5 or something like that. We got one guy at Clemson, Deshaun Watson. He's been tremendous since he stepped foot on campus.
Yes,
but
sir.
He really deserves to be here, a guy that has 30 touchdown passes, 3,500 yards. But I don't think stats really tell the whole story on how great he is as a football player.
Well, first of all, it is good to see a quarterback here. But as a former receiver, I would like to see someone that plays my position here as well. But it is what it is. You look at Deshaun Watson, though. You mentioned the stats. He's approaching 1,000 yards rushing also. 11 touchdowns on the ground. He's a guy that's accountable for 41 touchdowns. That's a lot of scores. Mm-hmm. So when you look at a guy like that, you have a player that can single-handedly wreck a defensive game plan. I mean, think about it, third and long. You have everything defended, and a guy like Deshaun Watson breaks out of the pocket and gets that first down, steps out of bounds without being touched. That wrecks defenses. That kills their morale, and he's somebody that's able to do that. All of these guys are breakaway guys, but when you look at Deshaun Watson, he's a guy that could throw the ball down the field very well. If the pocket breaks down, he could get out and make plays. I really like him as a prospect. And week in and week out in the ACC, with the number 1 team in the nation target on his back, he's going out and doing his thing.
And you look at the fact that when he was a freshman, he was a true freshman, to come in and play light years better than Cole Stout. Nothing against Cole Stout. He was a solid player, but Deshaun Watson coming in as a freshman, taking that job, doing exceptionally well, was getting injured. I mean, last year he played against South Carolina with a torn ACL. They won the ball game 35-17. He had surgery the next day. But that shows a lot about his toughness and his mental toughness. And this year alone, as a sophomore, true sophomore, he's playing the game great from the neck up.
Well, the other thing is, as a sophomore quarterback, you look at what happened to him. His number 1 target was taken away from him for the season. Mike Williams, a receiver that is a downfield threat. He's a do-it-all guy as well. So when you pull that out of the equation and you still are accountable for 41 touchdowns, over 4,000 total yards, you have to be mentioned as one of the best players in the nation. And he won the Davey O'Brien Award, looked upon as the best quarterback in the nation. I think he's probably the best. He or Trevon Boykin, you're talking about 2 of the best all-purpose quarterbacks. And I mean, I love his play. That's really what it comes down to. He's an awesome quarterback, fun to watch, and that's what I like when you're talking about Heisman guys. I like guys who are entertaining. They're a reason why you tune in to a football game. They're a reason why, if you have something to do, you got the DVR fired up as well.
I mean, when you look at him as a quarterback, and I hate to make comparisons, but, I mean, you want to evoke, let's say, another ACC quarterback that also won the Heisman, and Charlie Ward. I think the guy is going to be special this year, moving forward. He's going to be a junior next year, but he's done a lot of great things for that Clemson Tiger football program. So hopefully, Teron and I made a great case for each and every one of these tremendous college football players here at the Heisman Trophy press conferences today on, again, the Friday. Tomorrow's the ceremony. But for more of our videos and our Heisman coverage, visit our website at footballgameplan.com/Heisman.